welcome back to another mod review. Today we're going to be checking out the new addition to the Lumpino's relationship and pregnancy overhaul. Oh, I almost went and did a throwback and said realistic, because it used to be called realistic pregnancy overhaul, but now it's relationships pregnancy overhaul. But today or yesterday she posted a update to the page for a new contraceptives protection failure and more things that come within that particular module of the mod. I think there's about 19 modules. We've covered a few of them on this channel, but as I was looking at it, I actually think I mentioned one of the things that came in with the update to this mod a while back in one of my mod reviews. She added in more birth control options for both, your male Sims and your female Sims. So I wanted to take a look and see if you would download this into your mod folder, but I think it just adds so much realism to the game. There's also so many more, new gameplay interactions that you can have within your Sims game so that your Sims basically can have a little bit more storylines within their game. So let's get into today's mod review. All right, so we're in game. We're also in Brindleton Bay today with our couple because we're gonna test out majority of the new updates that came with this mod, with this module set. So the first one I want to talk about is birth control, and how you can get to there is by going into the RPO UI interactions page, and then I believe you go to the reproductive health and you can visit doctor to start birth control. Now as you can see, there are new options for your Sims birth control. Now before we used to just get the regular birth control, but this one you can actually choose a bunch of different ones. And I think I mentioned an IUD last time about how cool it would be to have different birth control. I guess she was listening to us because she added in these, and I think it's so cool because it makes your game more realistic. If you're a realistic player like I am, this is probably just what you were looking for, and having your Sims have more storyline options for their Sims. So the first one is a hormonal pill that they can take, and basically the pill is taken daily and the prescription auto renews, which is great, so you don't have to keep remembering to renew that. They have a IUD as well, a copper one, because there are different IUDs out there. A IUD is installed once, and the rare possibility that it would cause issues for Lily Ann, she can return to the doctor and consider other options. Now, I know in real life there are some babies that are IUD babies where the IUD has failed. I don't know if that is the case in this game, but there is a new updated version to the protection failure system where you can actually have a condom fail or a birth control fail in this mod, which is also another realistic thing to happen. There's also the hormonal IUD. Again, it's the same thing as the copper IUD. It's just whichever one you prefer. Now, I only say the same thing as in like the same scenario for it. So it's like they will put the IUD in your Sim, and then if it causes issues, she can return it to the doctor and consider other options. Now, I do know there's a difference between the copper and hormonal thing. I just don't know what those differences are in real life. Should probably learn them. Then you have the hormonal injection, which is an injection is performed every 4 sim days. So they'll actually have like a little patch, like right here, they'll have a patch that actually goes on your Sim. So for this one, because on my Sim with this mod, you can choose whether your Sims want kids or don't. I checked. Lily Ann does not want a kid right now. So we can click on a copper IUD just because I want to see what buff she'll get from this. But we'll actually have them stop talking so she can go to that rabbit hole and get that IUD. But as Grayson is watching TV, let's see if he wants children, and he doesn't. So they're in an agreement. They don't want kids, which kind of brings me to my next thing, is that even for your male Sims, they are able to discuss their form of contraceptives with their partners. Now I need to wait for Lily Ann to get back from her appointment. So Lily Ann is back, and as you can see, she's a bit uncomfortable. It says Lily Ann has seen a doctor and decided to start using medical birth control. She may experience side effects. If there is a prescription, it will automatically renew until Lily Ann cancels. I'm not doing a welcome wagon. When have we ever done a welcome wagon on these mod reviews? But it says right here that she is uncomfortable. She started birth control. Lily Ann just had an IUD installed and is not having a good time, but it will pass and it will be worth it in the end. Yes. And at any time, you can have your Sims stop the birth control by simply going back and just saying stop using medical birth control. They can also have a bunch of other things checked out. I don't know if I've actually done the birth control module on here, but you can get a sterilization surgery. You can also get an unsterilization surgery if you wanted your Sims to have kids again. You can do a bunch of things on here as well. But the thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about next is the different interactions you can have with your partner about their procreating essentially. So you can ask to share costs of birth control, which is good. Maybe if your Sims don't have a lot of money, but they're, your Sims don't want to, the birth control is kind of expensive. It's 150 simoleons. So you might want to ask your partner to share the costs of the birth control, which actually is probably a really smart idea. You can tell about starting medical birth control. So I kind of exited out of this real quickly, but basically right here, after they've talked about it, it says that's quite a relief. Now we can enjoy ourselves without worry. Now, because they both don't want children, they have, an agreement to it. But if your Sim wants kids and maybe your other Sim started birth control, they might be a little upset, but that adds for gameplay, a little drama, to your Sims 4 game. The other stuff that I wanted to talk about as well is the non-medical birth control. Now, I think this is really cool that they added this in here, because you can, instead of, going on birth control, you can chat with your Sims about different non-medical birth control ways, like you can agree to pull out for the next woohoo, or you can agree to pull out for all woohoos. And then you can agree to a cycle-based pregnancy prevention, which essentially means that Lillian and Grayson would decide to abstain from complete inserts of woohoo except at clinical times or low, except for the times in her cycle that are of low fertility to avoid pregnancy. This means that outside of these timeframes, they would only accept a woohoo with each other, which is actually really smart, because my next thing that I was going to go into is you can actually choose the cycles now within RPO. So I believe you go into RPO global settings, and here are all the settings, but right here is the fertility and pregnancy risk. So this is the one that you would want to be at, because you can also click to have them have hormonal birth control side effects or not, or you can choose to have like the birth control failure rate. So right now it's at a default of 5%, but if you wanted to up that, you could, if you want to make your game a little bit more spicy. That's completely up to you. But what I wanted to talk about before I got sidetracked by that was you can actually now set different your fertility and pregnancy risk, I believe. So you can now make it to where their fertility cycle length is what I wanted to get to. So on this, you can customize the duration of the cycles, because like we talked about a couple minutes ago was about you can agree to the pull out method or just have it be on the, based on your cycle. So if we click on this, you can decide what you want. Now you might want to make sure that with your Sims lifespan that you're playing with, that it kind of fits to that. Right now on here, the default is 3.5 days. So this is the individual fertility system cycle length. You can also do a one that's kind of like the whole world is on the same cycle, which for me, I like the individual ones because that means that each Sim has their different cycles. But basically what this means is you can pick 2 days, 3.5 days, 5 days, 7 days, and 10 days. If you play with Wicked Whims or Wonderful Whims, they do have their own period stuff on there, and you can have the period tracker to will let you know what you are on your cycle. This one has it as well, and they're compatible with each other. I'm going to leave it 3.5 days, but I wanted to show you that. But like I was saying here is right here, you can use an individual fertility rate, or you can click to a global fertility rate. So, and then this one also allows fertility cycles. If set to on, Sims will by default have their fertility set on a cycle. If off, they won't. And this is off, but I'll just turn it on. And then you can also allow simple periods for a cyclical pregnancy risk. If on, Sims who are set to have a cyclical pregnancy risk experience simple moodlets related to periods. So you can have a simple period on here if you don't want to actually, I know you can have a simple period on here. I know on Wonderful Whims and Wicked Whims, your Sims actually have a period where you need to tampons and pads. Gives me a little PTSD sometimes when I'm playing in The Sims, but this one you can also allow for elder pregnancy. I don't know why you would do that to your elder Sims, but you do you in your Sims 4 game. So that's pretty much the settings for that as well. And then you can go through here and choose whatever settings for the other modules. All right, so since we've tested out the birth control things and just the different stuff that's come with it, the next part I want to test out is telling your kid that they're an accident, because honestly, that's kind of funny in The Sims, but let's test this out. So basically what you need your Sims to have is for them to have their partner using protection, either one. In this case, I'm going to do the male because I already took her off of her IUD. So what we can do is basically ask them under the I think it's reproductive health because it's not non-medical, because this is not what we want, although you can use this to whatever you want to do. But okay, so we have her using the protection. So what I'm going to do now is go into the RPO settings, which we have already gone to before, but I want to do the failure rate for the birth control. And let's just set that to 100%. Modify setting. You know what I could do? Is I could put her back on the birth control, because now that we have 100%, or you know what? I'm going to test something real quick. We're all here for scientific sim purposes. He's got the protection, I'm pretty sure. Okay, it took us a bit, but we got there. Now they're woohooing. She's upset because she doesn't want to have a kid, but we should get a thing saying that their protection failed, because that's the key to us being able to say to our kid, you were an accident. Okay, it says no protection was used. Or wait, it should say that there was. Okay, what I'm gonna try now is I actually kind of messed up what I was doing, because I took her off of the birth control to test like the protection failure thing. What I'm gonna do is have them regularly woohoo. He's gonna be on protection. She's going to be back on protection because I sent her back to get the hormonal pill. But it is a mod review, so I got to test out all the things, even if my Sims are going to be unhappy with me because they both don't want children. But you know what? In life, we don't always get what we want. So she should be back shortly, and then after they're back, we'll test it. Okay, so she's back on birth control, and we're going to go back up here and hit this button. I'm praying that it works, because I really want to see what it's like to tell your kid in The Sims that they were an accident. Could add some spice to your Sims game. Okay, so notice how it says modern age magic from birth control, and then it says pregnancy-free woohooing. Now we can go back in here and test if she's pregnant or not. Now she's not pregnant. You know what? We're gonna keep on doing this until it fails. This might take a minute, but I'm on a mission now. So I had her try for a pregnancy, and I took her off the pill just to test this one thing when I was reading up on the mod. But you can also take like an emergency pill after your Sims woohooed. If they didn't want to be pregnant, you can go get an emergency birth control pill. If they weren't like on the pill, they could take that as well. I still haven't figured out how to get the protection failure. I think that's just going to come with part of the game as playing with it. So you guys will be more than free to test that out as my Sim is warming himself. But basically, you'll be able to see that interaction when the pregnancy actually fails. I tried to set it to the 100 to see if it would. I think just it will probably take a lot of trial and error to get it. But I'm not going to sit here for an hour trying to get them to have a protection failure. So that can be played on your own game, but I think she should be coming back in a little bit. Yeah, there she is. It says, hope it works from using the emergency pill. Because when I read that, I was like, well, I could do this. But yeah, no, I think that protection failure is going to be something that, you know, when you're playing the game, as you're playing with your families and stuff like that, you'll end up having it at least, you know, in that legacy or whatever you're playing with it, or you can just sit down and try and get it on a random save file. So, but I think this is about it. You can also, you know, test out the other modules in that game, but we can also tell them about the pregnancy scare as well. So if we go into, I think it's going to be in pregnancy and family, and tell about the pregnancy scare, it's kind of like taking like a plan B, but in The Sims. And because they both don't want a kid, they'll probably be happy about it. There are so many more options within this new module. Your Sims are free to have more drama in their game as much as you want. But I know she did mention that she was going to add more. As always, we always get updates with the modules. So these modules are such a great addition into your Sims 4 game. As time goes on, we do get updates to the modules for different interactions and stuff like that. So definitely keep an eye out. This is still in early access, though. I do want to say that it did come out yesterday. I think normally her early access lasts for like 3 or 4 weeks. So it should be out by the end of the month for those that do not have her Patreon page. But with that, I will end the video here. Well, thank you all so much for watching today's video. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get my Sims to have a protection failure. It just wasn't probably working out in her favor today, but I will assure you that when I play this mod on my legacy challenge, it literally, things that you feel like are never going to happen do happen. So it is basically a mod on chance, but there are so many other, you know, interactions in this mod that, you know, make it so much more exciting to play The Sims, especially for like your Sims who are, you know, pregnant and just want to make the game more realistic. Like I said 1,000 times on the channel before, the Sims vanilla pregnancies, I honestly feel bad for them. Literally, they're just pregnant for 3 days, and it's like there's just any other 3 days. So including RPO and some mods that I've covered before, like Pandasama's realistic childbirth mod into your games, make it more realistic and just more fun as well. This mod adds a ton of new dramas and just new interactions within those mods, so I definitely highly recommend checking it out. But I'm so glad to see the update to the, you know, fertility and just protection aspect to the mod. I think it's like module like 2 or 3 within her mods, but she basically goes in every now and then and we'll just do like a huge big update for these. So to me, this is big. It seems small, but it really adds a lot into your game. And again, over time, there'll be more different modules and updates to the modules as time comes. But hopefully this is a new mod to add into your gameplay, into your game. I will say again, it is in early access. So I believe, like I said earlier, it's either 3 or 4 weeks that's going to be in early access. But if you want to see more content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn those notifications on so you never miss another YouTube video like this. Did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and comment your favorite part about this new update to the module for RPO. But with that, I will see you all on Friday.